In 2009, I had the opportunity to get back in touch with my brother who I'd been estranged from. So, if you know me, you might think of a super outgoing, bubbly person. Um, you do? Okay, good. In high school, my reputation was one that people came up to me in person and would call me goody goody to my face. So, that's what I was working with. My brother Tim had been addicted to drugs and alcohol, and at a point was homeless. So our stories and the way that they played out were very different. And in 2009, after many years of being in touch with him and not being in touch with him, we got back in touch. And he came to me and said, there are a lot of different reasons that I want to try and change my life. One of them is my daughter. And one of them is I am now clean and sober, and I feel like I can do this. So he came to me and presented himself as a blank canvas and said, teach me the things you know so that I can make different choices and I can start my life over. So he asked us about budgeting, and he had a job with a steady income, and these things were a very big deal to him. And he was doing such a good job. Unfortunately, life took a turn for my brother Tim, and he was beaten up. And when he was beaten up, he was taken to the emergency room. The emergency room contacted me, and I immediately knew something was terribly wrong. So, to make this a 5-minute story, I will tell you he was diagnosed with cancer, and we had no idea. He had an injury in his head when he was in the hospital, but we had no idea he already had cancer. So he ended up going to an assisted living facility because he was very, very sick. And I would come in to visit him, and because of the nature of his brain cancer, he would forget what was going on in his life. So almost every day for him was a blank canvas because he would forget what was going on. He would have a doctor's appointment that I would have to take him to, and he'd say, why am I going to get radiation? Do I have cancer? And I would say, you do. And it would be heart-wrenching. So I probably told my brother about his cancer diagnosis 8 times. And the first time was heart-wrenching. It was so sad and filled with so much emotion. The second time, also that. But because of what was going on in his brain, he kept forgetting. So by the 3rd or 4th time, I would tell him, and he would say, you don't seem very sad about this. And my brother was really, really funny. And I'd say, I am sad, but you're not going to remember that we talked about this, so I'm probably going to tell you again. And he'd say, well, that seems a little weird. And it was. So because of my brother and his ability and desire to start over and create a blank canvas and start again, and then the way he lived his life while he had cancer and start over and still be a wonderful patient and brother and have his sense of humor, I learned many lessons that I still carry with me today, because we all have times in our lives when our lives are a blank canvas and we start over and need to have a good attitude and begin again. And although his death was something that was not obviously a good part of my life, all the lessons I've learned by how he lived have helped me as I restart many areas of my life too. So I'm very grateful for the blank canvas that he was so many times in his life. Thank you.